Daniel sprawled in the pilot's chair of the Fortuna, his boots propped on the console. The ship's gentle hum filled the cabin as it drifted through the star-speckled void. He tossed a lucky coin, catching it deftly between his fingers. "Another day, another credit," he muttered, flipping the coin again. "Or maybe 1,000,000 credits. Who knows?" A shrill beep pierced the silence. Daniel's feet hit the floor with a thud as he leaned forward, squinting at the flashing red light on his console. Well, well, what have we here? He tapped the screen, bringing up a distress signal. "Looks like Lady Luck's got plans for me today." The Fortuna's engines roared to life as Daniel set a course for the signal's origin. As he approached, a small escape pod materialized against the backdrop of space. "All right, let's see what trouble you're bringing me," Daniel said, activating the tractor beam. The pod's hatch hissed open as soon as it touched down in the Fortuna's cargo bay. Daniel's hand instinctively moved to his blaster as he waited for the occupants to emerge. Two figures stumbled out, coughing and gasping. Daniel's jaw dropped. They were the most striking women he'd ever seen. Identical twins with skin the color of Earth's oceans and hair like spun silver. "Well, hello there," Daniel said, holstering his weapon. "Welcome aboard the Fortuna. I'm Daniel, your dashing rescuer." The women exchanged glances before the one on the left spoke. "I am Princess Tina, and this is my sister, Princess Lena. We seek asylum on your vessel." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Princesses, huh? And what brings royalty like yourselves out to this corner of the galaxy?" Lena stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "We fled an arranged marriage on our home planet. Please, we beg you to take us in as your servants. We'll cook, clean, anything you need." "Whoa, slow down there," Daniel held up his hands. "I don't need any servants, and I'm not in the habit of harboring fugitives." "Please," Tina implored, clasping her hands. "We have nowhere else to go. We'll work hard. You won't regret it." Daniel scratched his chin, eyeing the sisters. Something about their story didn't quite add up, but he couldn't deny the pull he felt towards them. Plus, his luck had never steered him wrong before. All right, you can stay, but no servant nonsense. You'll pull your own weight as part of the crew." The sisters beamed, their smiles dazzling. Thank you, they cried in unison. Yeah, don't make me regret this," Daniel grumbled, but a smile tugged at his lips. "Come on, I'll show you around." As they toured the ship, Daniel couldn't help but notice the sisters' graceful movements and the way their eyes sparkled with curiosity. He shook his head, trying to focus. "This here's the galley," he said, gesturing to a small kitchen area. "Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done." Tina peered into a cabinet. "What are these strange devices?" Daniel blinked. Those are pots and pans, for cooking." The sisters exchanged another glance. "Of course," Lena said quickly. "We were just testing you." "Right," Daniel drawled. "Well, feel free to whip something up if you're hungry. I'm going to check our course." He retreated to the cockpit, chuckling to himself. This was going to be interesting. Over the next few days, Daniel's suspicions about the princess's domestic skills were confirmed. He walked into the galley to find Tina, or was it Lena, covered in flour, a smoking pan on the stove. "I was trying to make pancakes," she said sheepishly. Daniel bit back a laugh. "Those are more like pan disasters. Here, let me show you." As he demonstrated the proper technique, he found himself enjoying the princess's company. She was eager to learn, and her naive questions about everyday items were oddly charming. He said, flipping a perfect golden pancake, "for someone who offered to be a cook, you're not very experienced in the kitchen." She blushed, her cheeks turning a deeper shade of blue. "We may have exaggerated our skills a bit. We were desperate." Daniel nodded, sliding the pancake onto a plate. "I figured as much. But hey, you're learning. That counts for something." Just then, the other sister walked in. "Oh, pancakes. They smell delicious." Daniel grinned. "Thanks, Lena. At least someone appreciates my culinary genius." The sister's face fell. "I'm Tina." "Oh, right. Sorry about that," Daniel stammered, feeling his face heat up. "You two are just so identical?" Tina supplied, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Yeah, that?" Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Maybe you could wear different clothes or something? Help a guy out?" The sisters laughed, a melodious sound that made Daniel's heart skip a beat. "We'll consider it," Lena, the real Lena, said with a wink. As the days passed, Daniel found himself growing more and more attached to the princesses. Despite their initial ineptitude, they were quick learners and soon became valuable members of the crew. Tina took to navigation like a fish to water, while Lena showed a knack for engine maintenance. One evening, as they sat around the galley table sharing a meal, Daniel couldn't help but marvel at how natural it all felt. The sisters were recounting a story from their childhood, finishing each other's sentences and dissolving into giggles. "So there we were," Tina said between laughs, "covered in glitter and feathers," Lena chimed in. "Father was so mad, but he couldn't stop laughing." Daniel chuckled, shaking his head. "You two are something else, you know that?" The sisters beamed at him, and Daniel felt a warmth spread through his chest. He quickly looked down at his plate, trying to quash the feelings bubbling up inside him. Getting involved with not one but two princesses on the run, that was asking for trouble, even with his legendary luck. As if on cue, the ship's alarm blared. Daniel jumped to his feet, rushing to the cockpit with the sisters hot on his heels. "What is it?" Tina asked, peering over his shoulder at the console. Daniel's fingers flew over the controls, his face grim. "We've got company. Big ship. Coming in fast," Lena gasped. "It's them. They've found us." Daniel spun in his chair, fixing the sisters with a hard stare. "All right. Time for some answers. Who exactly is after you and why?" The princesses exchanged a nervous glance before Tina spoke. "It's our people. The arranged marriage we told you about. It wasn't exactly as we described it." "We weren't being forced to marry anyone specific," Lena continued. "But we were expected to choose husbands to strengthen our kingdom's alliances." "And you ran away because—" Daniel prompted, keeping one eye on the approaching ship. Tina looked down, twisting her hands. "We were scared of the responsibility of making the wrong choice. So we fled," Lena finished. "But we never meant to cause so much trouble." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, sighing. "Well, you've certainly succeeded in finding trouble. That ship's not slowing down, and the Fortuna's not exactly a warship." The sisters' faces fell, guilt and fear etched in their features. Daniel felt a pang in his chest. Despite their deception, he couldn't bring himself to be angry with them. In fact, a slow grin spread across his face. "You know what? I think it's time we put my luck to the test." Tina and Lena looked at him, hope dawning in their eyes. "What do you mean?" they asked in unison. Daniel cracked his knuckles, settling into the pilot's seat. "I mean, we're going to outrun them, outwit them, and get you two to safety. After all, I've got a reputation to uphold." He winked at the sisters, his heart soaring at their grateful smiles. As he turned back to the controls, plotting their daring escape, Daniel knew he was in over his head. But with his luck and these two incredible women by his side, He couldn't wait to see what the universe had in store for them next. "All right, ladies," he said, firing up the engines. "Hold on to your tiaras. This is where the real adventure begins." As the Fortuna shot forward, leaving a trail of stardust in its wake, Daniel felt a thrill of excitement. He might not know exactly what he was getting into, but one thing was certain. Life aboard the Fortuna would never be the same again. The Fortuna streaked through space, leaving a trail of iridescent stardust in its wake. Daniel's hands danced across the controls, his face a mask of concentration as he navigated through an asteroid field. Behind him, Tina and Lena clung to their seats, a mixture of fear and exhilaration on their azure faces. "You ladies might want to hold on to something," Daniel called over his shoulder, a roguish grin spreading across his face. "Things are about to get interesting." As if on cue, a massive asteroid loomed ahead. Daniel's eyes narrowed as he calculated the odds. With a swift motion, he sent the Fortuna into a barrel roll, threading the needle between two colliding space rocks. Tina let out a whoop of excitement. "That was incredible!" "Child's play," Daniel winked, though his racing heart betrayed the thrill of the maneuver. "Now, let's see if we've lost our tail." Lena peered at the radar screen. "I don't see any signs of pursuit. We've done it." Daniel leaned back in his chair, letting out a long breath. "Don't celebrate just yet, Princess. We've got a long way to go before you're in the clear." Over the next few weeks, Daniel found himself playing the role of both protector and teacher to the princesses. They were eager learners, soaking up knowledge about ship maintenance, navigation, and the general ins and outs of space travel. No, you've got to connect the blue wire to the auxiliary power coupling," Daniel explained, watching as Lena tinkered with the ship's systems. She bit her lip in concentration, her delicate blue fingers working deftly with the wires. "Like this." "Perfect," Daniel nodded, trying to ignore the flutter in his chest as Lena beamed at him. Meanwhile, Tina had taken to the pilot's seat, her eyes gleaming as she studied the star charts. "Daniel, what's this system here?" He leaned over her shoulder, acutely aware of her floral scent. "That's the Zeta Reticuli system, known for its casinos and less than reputable establishments." Tina's eyes lit up. "Ooh, can we go there? We've never seen a real casino." Daniel chuckled. "Trust me, Princess, those places are more trouble than they're worth, especially for a guy like me." "What do you mean?" Lena asked, joining them in the cockpit. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Let's just say my luck doesn't sit well with casino owners. I'm banned from most gambling establishments in 3 quadrants." The sisters exchanged mischievous glances. "Sounds like a challenge to us," they said in unison. Before Daniel could protest, they were setting a course for Zeta Reticuli. He sighed, shaking his head. "I've got a bad feeling about this." The neon lights of Nova Vegas, Zeta Reticuli's premier gambling planet, bathed the Fortuna in a kaleidoscope of colors as they approached. Daniel pulled on a hooded cloak, trying to obscure his face. "Remember, we're here for supplies and maybe a little fun. No drawing attention to ourselves," he warned the princesses. Tina and Lena nodded solemnly, but their eyes sparkled with excitement. As they disembarked, Daniel couldn't help but notice how they'd changed in the weeks since their rescue. Gone were the helpless royals. In their place stood 2 confident young women ready to take on the galaxy. The trio made their way through the bustling streets, the air thick with the sounds of laughter, music, and the constant chime of slot machines. Daniel kept a wary eye out for any signs of trouble, his hand never far from his blaster. "Oh, Daniel, look!" Lena tugged on his arm, pointing to a grand casino with a sign proclaiming, "The Lucky Star, where fortunes are made." Daniel groaned. No way. Absolutely not. But Tina was already heading towards the entrance, her sister in tow. Come on, just one game. Unable to resist their pleading looks, Daniel followed, muttering under his breath about stubborn princesses. Inside, the casino was a whirlwind of activity. Aliens of all species crowded around gaming tables, their tentacles, claws, and hands clutching chips and cards. All right, one game, Daniel conceded. But then we're out of here. He approached a roulette table, feeling the familiar tingle of luck coursing through him. With a deep breath, he placed a modest bet on black. The wheel spun, the little ball dancing around the numbers. Time seemed to slow as it finally came to rest. Black 17, the croupier announced. Winner! Tina and Lena squealed with delight, hugging Daniel from both sides. He couldn't help but grin, caught up in their enthusiasm. One game turned into 2, then 3. Before long, a crowd had gathered to watch the mysterious hooded figure on an incredible winning streak. Chips piled up in front of Daniel as he moved from game to game, his luck holding strong. But as the stakes grew higher, so did the tension in the air. Daniel could feel the eyes of casino security on him, their suspicion palpable. Time to go, he muttered to the princesses. Cash out and meet me at the exit. As they made their way to the cashier, a burly Thoraxian blocked their path. The boss would like a word with you, he growled. Daniel's hand inched towards his blaster. Sorry, big guy, we've got a prior engagement. The situation was rapidly deteriorating when Lena stepped forward, her voice taking on a regal tone. Do you know who we are? We are personal guests of the Zeta Reticuli ambassador. You wouldn't want to cause a diplomatic incident, would you? The Thoraxian hesitated, clearly unprepared for this turn of events. In that moment of confusion, Daniel grabbed the princess's hands and bolted for the exit. They ran through the neon-lit streets, laughter bubbling up despite the danger. As they reached the Fortuna, Daniel punched in the launch codes with trembling fingers. That was amazing, Tina exclaimed as they lifted off. Did you see their faces? Daniel couldn't help but join in their laughter. I have to admit, that was pretty impressive, Your Highnesses. Quick thinking back there. Lena blushed, her cheeks turning a deeper shade of blue. We learned from the best. As they broke atmosphere, Daniel looked at the substantial pile of credits they'd won. Well, ladies, I'd say we've earned ourselves a ship upgrade. What do you say we hit up the Rigelian shipyards? The princesses cheered their approval, and Daniel set a course. As he watched them chattering excitedly about new engines and weapon systems, he felt a warmth spreading through his chest. It was more than just attraction. He was genuinely falling for both of them. The realization hit him like a meteor. How could he possibly choose between Tina and Lena? They were both incredible in their own ways. Tina with her quick wit and adventurous spirit, Lena with her quiet strength and keen intellect. The thought of hurting either of them was unbearable. As if sensing his inner turmoil, Tina placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Is everything all right, Daniel? He forced a smile. Just plotting our next move, princess. We're not out of the woods yet. Little did they know, their luck was about to be put to the ultimate test. As they approached the sprawling Rigelian shipyards, alarms blared throughout the Fortuna. Multiple ships incoming, Lena called out, her fingers flying over the sensors. It's our people's fleet. Daniel's heart sank as he saw the massive warships closing in. Looks like your father's not giving up without a fight. Tina's face was pale, her voice barely a whisper. What are we going to do? For the first time since this wild adventure began, Daniel felt a flicker of doubt. His luck had gotten them this far, but could it hold out against an entire fleet? As the enemy ships drew closer, Daniel made a decision. He wouldn't let anything happen to Tina and Lena, even if it meant sacrificing his own freedom. "All right, ladies," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut. "I've got a plan, but you're not going to like it." The princesses looked at him, trust and apprehension warring in their eyes. Daniel took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for certain: his life would never be the same again. Daniel's fingers flew across the Fortuna's control panel, his mind racing faster than the approaching fleet. Tina and Lena watched him with a mixture of fear and admiration, their azure skin pale with worry. "All right, here's the plan," Daniel said, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "We're going to hail their flagship and request a parley." Lena's eyes widened. "You want to talk to our father?" "Daniel, he'll have you arrested on the spot." "Or worse," Tina added, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel flashed them his trademark grin, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "That's where my legendary luck comes in, ladies. Plus, I've picked up a thing or two about your culture. Trust me." Before the princesses could protest further, Daniel opened a communication channel. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of a regal blue-skinned man adorned with an ornate crown. "Your Majesty," Daniel said, bowing his head slightly, "I believe we have some matters to discuss." The king's eyes narrowed. "You dare to address me, kidnapper? Return my daughters at once or face the wrath of our entire armada." Daniel held up his hands in a placating gesture. "With all due respect, Your Majesty, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't kidnap anyone. Your daughters came to me seeking help." Tina and Lena moved into view, their faces a mixture of defiance and shame. "Father," Tina began, "Daniel speaks the truth. We ran away." The king's expression softened slightly at the sight of his daughters. "But why? You were to choose husbands to strengthen our kingdom's alliances. It was your duty." "That's just it, Father," Lena interjected. "We were afraid of making the wrong choice, of failing our people." Daniel cleared his throat. "If I may, Your Majesty, in the time I've spent with your daughters, I've seen them grow from scared runaways into capable, wise young women. They've learned to navigate the stars, to negotiate with alien races, and to face danger head-on." The king's brow furrowed. "And what would a space rogue know of royal duties and responsibilities?" Daniel chuckled. "Not much, I'll admit. But I do know about taking chances and trusting your instincts. Your daughters took a leap of faith when they left home, and look how much they've grown because of it." Tina and Lena exchanged surprised glances, touched by Daniel's words. "Perhaps," the king mused, stroking his beard, "but that doesn't change the fact that they abandoned their responsibilities." Daniel leaned forward, his eyes locked on the king's. "Then give them a chance to prove themselves. Let them show you how they've matured, how they can use their new experiences to benefit your kingdom." For a long moment, silence reigned. The tension on the Fortuna's bridge was palpable. Finally, the king spoke. "You speak with surprising wisdom for a man who makes his living skirting the edges of the law," he said, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Very well. I will hear what my daughters have learned on their adventure." Over the next hour, Tina and Lena regaled their father with tales of their journey. They spoke of the cultures they'd encountered, the challenges they'd overcome, and the diplomatic skills they'd honed. All the while, Daniel watched with pride, his heart swelling at how far they'd come. As the princesses finished their account, the king's stern demeanor had all but melted away. "My daughters," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "it seems I underestimated you, And you, he turned to Daniel, I owe you my gratitude for protecting them and helping them grow. Daniel bowed his head, a genuine smile spreading across his face. It was my pleasure, Your Majesty. Your daughters are truly remarkable women. The king nodded. Indeed they are, and it seems they've found a remarkable man as well. He paused, a mischievous glint in his eye. Tell me, Daniel, what are your intentions towards my daughters? Daniel froze, caught off guard by the question. He glanced at Tina and Lena, who were watching him with hopeful expressions. His heart raced as he realized the moment of truth had arrived. I care for them both, Your Majesty, he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. More than I thought possible, but I could never choose between them. They're both incredible in their own ways. To Daniel's surprise, the king burst out laughing. Oh, my boy, he chuckled. You truly are unfamiliar with our customs, aren't you? Confusion etched itself across Daniel's face. I'm not sure I follow, Your Majesty. Tina stepped forward, taking one of Daniel's hands in hers. Lena mirrored her sister's actions on his other side. Daniel, Tina began, her voice soft. In our culture, it's not uncommon for a person to have multiple spouses. Especially when it comes to royalty, Lena added, a shy smile playing on her lips. Daniel's jaw dropped as the implication sank in. You mean, I don't have to choose? The princesses shook their heads in unison, their eyes sparkling with amusement and affection. Well, the king's voice boomed from the view screen, drawing their attention back to him. It seems we have an interesting situation on our hands. Daniel, you've proven yourself to be brave, resourceful, and caring, qualities that would serve our kingdom well. Daniel's mind reeled. Your Majesty, are you suggesting that you become a prince of our realm? Indeed, I am. The king's expression turned serious. Of course, it would require you to take on significant responsibilities. You would be an ambassador between our worlds, helping to forge new alliances and strengthen existing ones. Daniel looked from the king to Tina and Lena, his heart pounding. This was more than he'd ever dreamed possible. A family, a purpose, and the two most amazing women he'd ever met by his side. Your Majesty, he said, straightening his posture, I would be honored to accept your offer. Though I have to warn you, my luck has a tendency to lead to some interesting situations. The king laughed heartily. My boy, I think that's exactly what our kingdom needs, a little excitement to shake things up. As the details were hammered out and plans were made for their return, Daniel couldn't help but marvel at the turn his life had taken. From a lone wolf drifting through the stars to a prince with not one, but two beautiful, intelligent wives-to-be. Later, as they prepared the Fortuna for the journey to their new home, Tina and Lena cornered Daniel in the cockpit. So, Prince Daniel, Tina purred, her eyes glinting mischievously. How does it feel to have your luck pay off in the biggest way possible? Daniel pulled them both close, reveling in the warmth of their embrace. I'd say I'm the luckiest man in the galaxy, he murmured, placing a gentle kiss on each of their foreheads. Lena giggled. Just wait until you see the royal casino. Your luck is going to drive the court bookmakers mad. As they laughed together, Daniel knew that this was just the beginning of their greatest adventure yet. The stars stretched out before them, full of promise and possibility. With his luck, his love, and his new family by his side, Daniel was ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The Fortuna's engines hummed to life, and as they set course for their new home, Daniel couldn't help but smile. Life had dealt him the perfect hand, and he was going to play it for all it was worth. All right, ladies, he said, his eyes twinkling with excitement. Let's show the galaxy what a little luck and a lot of love can do. And with that, the Fortuna streaked off into the star-studded expanse, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings, interstellar diplomacy, and a love that transcended the boundaries of space and tradition. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. And there you have it, folks. A tale of cosmic luck, royal runaways, and a love that spans the stars. Remember, if you ever find yourself rescuing blue-skinned princesses from a space pod, don't panic. Just roll with it. Who knows? You might end up with a crown, a spaceship, and not one, but two lovely alien wives. Just be sure to brush up on your intergalactic diplomacy skills, and maybe invest in a good pair of sunglasses for those neon casino planets. May your own adventures be as lucky, love-filled, and refreshingly polygamous as Daniel's. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to check my backyard for any stray escape pods. You never know when destiny might come knocking.